Winter has come and so have I. Hey, what's up guys, it's Fish here and welcome back to another online battle for Total War Warhammer. Today we are at Castle Black and the Wall from Game of Thrones with a massive zombie undead invasion. We have almost 14,000 soldiers on the field when all the undead necromancers raise up more skeleton warriors and more zombies. I believe the allied forces, which you can see up there, go to around about the top end of 11,000. So, you know, it ends up being around about 14,000 soldiers, which is absolutely crazy for a battle like this. So because of that, we might experience a bit of lag because Warhammer was never meant to be played with that many people, so that the engine might tank a little, but that should be fine. We can always stick it on slow-mo like we're doing right now before the battle for the wall does actually begin. So as you can see, we have a huge set of zombies and skeletons all ready to push on. We're also using the Steel Faith mod and also an Undead Giant mod. Obviously, seeing the giants in episode 1 of season 7, we had to go ahead and bring these bad boys as well as some zombie dragons. We have plenty of zombie dragons, and we have one over here as well. Yeah, we have plenty of them ready just to harass the wall, and another army. We also can see that the Night's Watch, aka the Empire, have set ablaze the forest towards the back to go ahead and try and prevent this. The map itself, we can see, has a nice little wall along Castle Black, and then the fortress. Obviously, this is much bigger than, say, the actual movie or the TV show or the book Game of Thrones Castle Black, but you know, it kind of creates a more exciting battle. We also have Robert Baratheon back here, aka Sigmar, who is ready. I like to think that when Robert won the War of the Usurper, he was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stick statues like this, showing off my muscles around Westeros. That's what I like to think. And then we obviously have the Empire forces back here for the final stand, whilst also garrisoning the actual wall itself with a nice little luminarch looking over. So I think we don't really have to go through the army comps because this isn't a super competitive battle. It's just kind of us moving forward, looking for a cool cinematic Game of Thrones style battle. Obviously with season 7, we might very well see something like this occur with the White Walkers charging onto the wall itself. So I felt like I would go ahead and recreate this as best I could. Because the Night's Watch are extremely outnumbered at the moment. So I felt like this was just an even battle we could do. So the battle does kick off with a zombie dragon up here charging onto these crossbowmen. This is going to be really useful because it's going to prevent all these White Walkers from marching over. And just look at the hordes coming, holy crap. As we just have we have Manfred on a zombie dragon marching up right now to harass this artillery, helping the slowing up the artillery. But I mean, these Hellstorm rocket batteries are working overtime right now to kill the enemy, and that just looks so cool seeing them advance. We've got the zombie giant leading the way, along with Heinrich Himmler as well as some of these guys scrapping. We've got a Bright Wizard fighting a White right now. These guys are going to push on. That does look very nice. And they're going to break their way through the gate itself and then open up into the courtyard. I think the forces of the Empire wanted us to come into the courtyard so that they could surround us better and use their missiles more effectively. At the moment, though, the main fight is up here as this zombie dragon is getting killed by Cole Franz, aka Jon Snow, and the rest of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, who are anti-large, so they should be able to do loads of damage to this zombie dragon. You can already see it starting to rout, so some very nice damage on there. As well as that, another unit of the Knights of the Blazing Sun is actually going to be surrounding Manfred von Carstein and stopping him from flying away. The hordes have now arrived at the gate. There is no escape as they pour into Castle Black, as we see that statue of Sigmar in the background. That is very nice. I like that a lot. The undead giants moving in. They're going to be getting some good swings off. And I mean, the lag hasn't actually been too bad, considering how many men we have in this engagement. It's pretty impressive to how well the game is running. I definitely did not think it would run that well, but holy crap, we're getting an amazing vortex spell going off at the gate. That is going to be doing so much damage to the zombies and the skeletons. But again, who cares? We are the undead. We have unlimited hordes. These dead will rise again and rise again, but that is looking very dead. Look how many of them are dying. That is insane. I love how we have the fire in the background as well, as more and more of the zombies just pour through the actual town itself, ready into the fortress. More of them are being risen up. Heinrich, you can see, raising more dead. And it does look like Cole Franz and his crew of flying beasts are just looking for opportunities to come down. So this is what the Empire have going for them. There's actually a giant gets hit by a cannon. And actually, yeah, he's going to get back up, thank God. I think the Luminarch hit him. So the thing the Empire have going for them is the fact that they have so many elite units compared to us. We have a lot of vampires and zombies and skeleton warriors, which the forces of the Empire should be able to deal with, you know, with their magic and their great swords and all their other elite units. However, we do have an entire player's more worth of money than them, so, you know, it's going to be hard for them to break. However, our player is actually pushing up this far left breach in the wall at the moment, so even though we have this extra player, he's kind of a bit far away from the rest of our forces, which is good because it's dragging away a lot of the enemy forces, and he's also becoming somewhat untouched. As you can see, another vortex going off and more shots, but oh my, look at that army just approaching. The giants and the undead hordes making their way forward. These no Ironsiders actually have really fast firing rifles right there. I think they have like 6 or 7 chambers in their guns. The undead giants making their way to the front line. They should be able to cut down these flagellants and hopefully make it easier for them to climb up the wall itself, because we do need support. We need our soldiers coming at every single position that we can get them. We also have a few crossbowmen as well shooting off the wall. It'd be so amazing if someone could recreate this map, but with having workable walls, like making the wall actually into a mountable wall, which ladders can be put up and people can climb up. Because there is an animation glitch with the, I know it's with some of the workable walls, is that you actually have it so that it looks like people are climbing up the wall, because their ladders glitch out, so the ladders are invisible, but the enemies carry on climbing up the wall. So how amazing would that be if somehow one of the amazing modders out there could create the wall, get it to work like an actual siege wall in Warhammer, and then have it so that when people climb up, the ladders don't show, so you just have orcs and humans and undead just literally climbing up the wall. That would be absolutely amazing. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if it did, that would be truly, truly epic. Much like this battle, the undead hordes are still going. How many men are they up to now? Yeah, okay, so we're up to 9,500 already. Wow. There's still plenty more undead to be risen up. As we can see, these gunners are about to get stamped on and slaughtered. Don't really think these guys stand a chance against 2 undead giants. Also, I love the undead giant texture as well. It does actually work really, really well. These guys are getting slaughtered, thrown to the ground. More zombies are making their way forward to pounce themselves onto these gunners. However, we do have some elite cavalry helping out as well. I believe these are Knights of the Panthers charging forward against the giants. I'm not actually sure if these guys are anti-large. I guess we can check it out. Knights Panther right here are anti-infantry, so they're not actually anti-large, so they could struggle to deal with this undead giant right now if they're not careful. They definitely are going to need support, as if you just look in the background right now, look at all these soldiers just making their way forward. The undead have numbers, that is for sure, especially with these corpse carts as well, which are going to be buffing melee attack, regeneration and melee defense, actually making these zombies pretty deadly in combat, considering how many numbers there actually are. The Knights of the Blazing Sun are doing their job fighting against the skeletons, holding them back as best they can. I believe I am pushing up my Necromancer right now, who is currently on a corpse cart, and he is going to be raising more dead up as quickly as he can. There you can see he just rose up some skeleton warriors to help out this giant who is currently being engaged, along with Krell as well. He is here fighting alongside his skeleton brothers. We also have a zombie dragon down on this left flank who has been harassed by Boris Tobringer right here. However, the zombie dragon is doing lots of damage with his tail to the rest of this infantry. On this far right flank as well, we actually have some really nice looking infantry. Sigma's swords, oh wow, they've done a nice little upgrade in the Steel Faith mod right now. They look very, very cool indeed. So if we take a look at the rest of the wall, we can see on this far left flank that the forces of the undead are overwhelming them, using their numbers just to straight up push forward and clean up the defenses. And again, I'm super impressed with the lag in this battle. I thought it was going to be 10 times worse than it is. It's actually not too bad at all. when we actually stay firm and don't move the camera too much, we can really see that it's not too bad, and this is definitely bearable considering how many soldiers. It's probably going to get bad at this point because this is probably going to be the peak of the amount of men we have. 10,000, so yeah, we still have plenty more men to actually raise in the battlefield. I think we still have around about 2,000 more men to bring, which is just crazy to think our necromancers working overtime. I guess we can see it as the Empire soldiers die, the necromancers are just bringing them back to life to fight for them. We're about to get a disgusting vortex. I can already tell the vortex going off on all of these units.
Rise now, rise.
Oh, there we go. Look how many of them just got picked up. That is insane. The amount of damage that is going to be doing. If we zoom out quickly, we can probably see their HPs just dropping as more and more soldiers do make their way through into the battle. Yeah, you can see that is just killing hundreds of soldiers. And the nice thing is, now since they've updated it, we can actually see the kills that these vortex spells get through the mages, which is really nice. So I believe the Empire have a Grey Wizard, so we'll actually be able to see how many kills them vortexes do get. The Knights Panther are going to be having an easy time of dealing with the skeletons. I can't imagine they'll be proving too much of like trouble for them. The Empire, if we look further back though, do have some gunners set up, so this is going to be great for killing any of the giants that come their way. The Knights Panther along with the Middelheim infantry can hold the line, whilst these guys with their repeater rifles can just carry on shooting. As well as that, if we go further back, we can also see that the Luminarch is still back here, along with some great swords. And I believe the Empire still have plenty more men as well in the actual streets. You can see some cavalry over here currently dueling out. Yeah, the Knights Panther currently dueling out against this undead giant. I think a giant's breath is worse enough, let alone a dead one. I think these silver bullets right now are really struggling to get a good shot off. However, the artillery is coming in from this Sunmaker. And just look at the damage it is doing already right down there on the battlefield itself. These guys have a perfect overlook, using the terrain to their advantage just to kill all these clumped up units. Unfortunately though, you know, the undead aren't smart enough to spread these units out, so this Sunmaker is going to be finding its mark on plenty of its shots. Look at that, it's just killing so many. But again, it doesn't really matter because us as the undead players can just keep raising them. We're up to almost 11,000 soldiers on the undead side, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, how many men are actually engaged in this battle. The explosions are going off from that Sunmaker. The giant, though, is going to be doing some damage to these Knights of the Blazing Sun, and I think that is our main objective, really. It's just to kill the Knights of the Blazing Sun, because they're the only anti-large that the enemy really have, besides maybe the Luminarch, who can, you know, almost one-hit some enemies. So because of that, I think we're expecting to try and take out them and then just really push down here. You can see we're using our numbers very effectively. I've got my corpse cart right here, or this could be my necromancer. Let's take a look. I believe, yeah, it's my necromancer right there. Yeah, my necromancer's here helping to buff. And we actually see the additional buffs here if we press I. We can see, yeah, look at the skeleton warriors getting more melee attack and melee defense. And they're constantly regenerating. Even though they're taking more damage than they're regenerating, it's still keeping them alive for as long as possible. I definitely love the look of these Knights Panthers though, as we do have another giant making his way into the battle. I think his main objective was just to break through this line of Knights Panther and then get onto these rifles. But he's not going to go to these rifles unscathed. They're going to be getting some good views off onto him, and they'll be able to whittle down his HP. Is he full HP right now? He's only half HP. So if these guys get shooting, I'm sure they'll be able to kill him before he even manages to make it through. That's a pretty sturdy line of Knights Panther. And if they can shoot really, really quickly. Let's take a look at the far left side of the battlefield. We can see that the undead have now overwhelmed the wall. A few rifles and swordsmen do still remain, but they are being chased down by the undead hordes. And these guys are going to be pushing very, very aggressively. They need to get down to support the rest of our forces, because the Empire have been slaughtering us with all their artillery. You guys will see towards the end of this battle just how many kills that the Sunmakers and the Hellstorm rocket batteries have actually achieved on us. It's pretty disgusting. It's sort of like really, really dumb how many kills they got, but we just had so many men for them to shoot at. We also have some brave Empire crossbowmen actually being surrounded by some elite Graveguard right now, killing them. Hats off to the Graveguard. We also have a dragon. Oh, could this be the ice dragon coming out to play? Hey, some nice theories there. We actually have a dragon though who has just died onto a wall. He's frozen onto it. Maybe that's how ice dragons are created. Who knows? We'll go back to the battlefield and we can actually see, like, look how many dead bodies are here now. We've managed to kill this right flank, but there are just so many undead laying here, along with quite a few Empires, but not too many. How many men have we risen now? Well, we still haven't risen any more, but don't worry, there are, you know, at least a couple, like 500 to 1,000 more undead to be risen. The Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to get a charge. They're not going to get a charge off, thank God. The Skeleton Warriors are going to run them down, so that's saved them a ton of men for sure. However, you know, they're still not going to do anything against these Knights of the Blazing Sun without support. I believe we're also pushing some elite soldiers up here. I believe we've actually just cleaned up here. Yeah, we managed to kill everything up here, and Heinrich is coming down. Oh no, the Silver Bullets are actually still alive. They're actually just making their way away, and I imagine they might come back to the engagement. But if we go back down the battlefield, we can see that we do have some zombies who are regenerating, along with these elite vampires right here. These are like the Knights King men right here, the actual White Walkers. They're extremely strong. And we also have some cavalry left as well. I believe the cavalry is coming around to this flank. Yeah, these elite Grail Knights are so good. They are really tanky, do a ton of damage, and they were dispatched to this right flank to actually try and silence these repeater gunners right here. Because if they continue to get some good shots off into our flank, that's not going to be good. The reinforcements have now arrived, and they are so desperately needed, as we need to kind of consolidate this flank, because we are currently surrounded by the forces of the Empire. We do have a corpse cart here, but as you can see, the men are actually surrounded. We have the Blazing Knight Sons and the Knights Panthers working together to just crush our forces. And they are doing exactly that. The forces stuck in the middle here are just being crumbling along with the rest of the forces. Thankfully, though, reinforcements have now arrived, and I believe Blue Lotus with his army is going to be turning up very, very quickly. Yeah, you can see it is marching. It's slowly marching, but it is getting over here as quickly as physically possible. I also like the addition of the eyes actually glowing. That's really cool. The wall has been a bastion for so long. Can it withstand this undead attack? I really don't know. I do know because I played this battle, but for the purpose of the battle itself, you know, balance of power is not like going heavily in someone else's favor. It is still very even. And as long as like Boris Todbringer and Cole Franz stays alive, and they have their heavy units like this, they can easily crumble, because I believe my legendary lord, I believe Manfred has been slain. He's been dead for a while, and I believe another one of our legendary lords has actually died. So we actually currently only have one legendary lord left in this battle, as the demigriffs come flying into the back and just crunching the undead into the lances. That's what the word I was looking for. The lances of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They're going to be receiving some debuffs, but you can see the amount of crumbling going on this battle. And the forces of the Empire are just going to be breaking upon us. Yeah, so I think if we press K, we can see that, yeah, like the initial armies for us are completely dead. However, our secondary reinforcement army has now arrived, and that's going to be the key to winning this battle, is Blue Lotus using this army effectively. He's already pushing down this right gate right now. The Sons of Sigmar going up against the Undead Giant. So the next wave of attack has basically arrived. They've taken the wall, and now they're down to here to kill whatever is left of the Empire forces. Now the Empire, if they can do well, if they can kill Blue Lotuses, who is playing as this army, if they can kill his lord and hopefully try and create a mass rout, that could definitely occur. It's just trying to deal with these undead giants. because they don't really have a lot of forces left to do that. You know, not many halberdiers. Obviously, the Knights of the Blazing Sun could be very useful here. And the Luminarch, I believe the Luminarch is still sitting around, as we do have Boris Todbringer making his way out of the battle. The skeletons are just like, what do we kill next, on their way forward. Charging towards the enemy, full force, swords drawn. And Cole Franz himself is going to be charging down with the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So the Knights of the Blazing Sun really need to get over to these undead giants to deal with them. I believe there's also an undead giant around here, maybe not. Where's the Luminarch currently at? The Luminarch is currently situated right here. So it's actually got a really good view of the enemy forces along with this steam tank. I have some of my Grail Knights causing a nuisance back here, trying to do as much damage to these guys as possible. And then I decided to push them on past the undead giant with some dirty ass feet, and they're going to get a good charge off on the back of these great swords. Because I felt like if we could route these great swords, hopefully we could then, you know, just make it easier for us to deal with the forces, the mounted units. Because again, in Warhammer, if you don't know, if you kill all the ground units for the for one side, then all their mounted units actually have to go to the ground. They can't stay flying, which is a nice little balanced addition they made in one of the patches. So I believe the great swords are all routing now. If we press K, we can take a look. Yeah, the great swords are now routing, meaning that all these troops can continue to push on. The steam tank is obviously causing a nuisance. The steam tank actually used all its ammunition as well, which is very interesting. This far right side does not look good for the Sons of Sigmar at all. They're going to continue to fight on and fight true, and do some pretty nice aerobatics against the skeletons. But there's just too many of them. And there's also a corpse cart back then buffing them. The corpse cart is such a valuable tool for the undead, because it can make some, you know, pretty average units actually stand up against, you know, a unit which would normally just utterly destroy them. Granted, these Sons of Sigmar are doing a great job at still holding the line. I will not take that away from them. I also love how we can see the wall in the background as well, through the gate itself. Very cool battle. And if you guys want to see more battles like this, I believe there is a Winterfell map as well. So if you guys want to see like an undead siege of Winterfell, then do let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to actually do that. More of the skeleton warriors pushing on. They're just completely surrounding what is left of the Empire. Oh, the silver bullets though have come back. They are getting chased now. I did speak a little bit too soon. I was like, they come back and they're going to do loads of damage. They did come back at kind of a poor time, as there is a Hellsteed actually going back. So yeah, these silver bullets are going to be able to start getting their shots off on the enemy forces. And that could be very, very important. We can look now, we have 11,000 soldiers on the front line. I believe there's a few more necromancers still left to use their abilities. There's just so many undead. Yeah, if we actually take a look at it, we can see that the Empire are down to 260 men, and there are still 2,500 undead roaming this battlefield. As I said, I like to think that they've just been rising up all the dead from the forces of the Empire as they do go down. Is the Luminarch dead yet? The Luminarch is soon to be meet its end. As you can see, all our forces are now surrounding it. This Luminarch was probably one of the only things that could have won the Empire the battle, I think, because if this Luminarch stayed alive, it could have maybe have sniped our generals, causing a mass crumble for the undead. At this point, though, I have lost, I think, all of my army. I don't have anything left apart from these Grail Knights. I believe Geneku is playing as one of the vampire counts. He also does not have a lot left, and is just down the Blue Lotus to claim victory for us. I mean, it looks pretty good for us, right? We have 2,000 men. However, who knows what could happen in the world of Warhammer with magic, giants, undead. I mean, just taking a look at the sheer death here. The Night's Watch have done a great job of holding firm here. Just look at the amount of dead bodies as we continue to go around the battlefield. Just want to take a second to just sheerly look at that. There's so many. I mean, over here as well, there's even more undead. Has been truly, I mean, this has been a huge scale of soldiers. As well as that, obviously, we have all the dead out here as well, just as they try and made it past the wall. We have a ton more undead just laying here, which the Hellstorm rocket batteries just racked up so many kills on. So if we go back to the battle itself, we can see just who is left right now. Yeah, there we go. One of our allied lords have actually fallen. So even though it's looking pretty grim for the forces of the Empire, we actually only have one lord left holding our forces together. And if he goes, then I'm not sure how it will go. Luckily, he's full health, and one of the and Cole Fran's actually really low as well. So we're going to be completely surrounding them now. They do have a lot of flying units, but manpower-wise, they're down to 100 soldiers. And they're mainly heroes, so we can't really expect too much left from them, especially these silver bullets who haven't really done much. They tried their best, but have just been overwhelmed by the Grave Guard now. And obviously, if these Knights of the Blazing Sun rout from a battlefield, I don't think the Empire really have a lot left, unless they can kill Heinrich. If they can kill Heinrich, then I think they might have a chance. Cole Franz has been slain now, and it is just down to Boris to hold this wall for the sake of mankind. But again, the balance of power, they're down to 57 men. It's not going to look good for them at all. This Luminarch is back, and maybe it can get a good shot off, but I believe it is going to get chased down by this Vampire of the Shadows and actually killed. Yeah, you can see it's going to be killed. So now the battle is pretty much over. I'm going to speed it up because literally all that happens with the last 4 minutes of this battle is that the steam tank just hits the enemy over and over again. So what I'll do now is I'll cut to the end screen so we can see how many kills. So make sure to stick around for that because the amount of kills is just literally disgusting. Okay guys, it was a Pyrrhic victory for the Undead forces. The wall has fallen. And you can just see, look how many kills this Hellstorm rocket battery got. 787. The Grey Wizard with his vortexes getting 690. These Knights Panthers getting 400. Very, very impressive. We look at the Doomshroom as well. His rocket battery is doing really, really well. And his Knights of the Blazing Sun doing very impressively. On our side, nothing too great. The Black Grail Knights doing pretty decently. Besides that, though, I guess we got this Giant getting 180 kills, and these Giants doing pretty decently as well. So not too bad, and obviously these Blood Dragon Warriors doing nicely. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. If you want to see more Game of Thrones Warhammer stuff, then again, do let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time, and fish out.